Hello, everyone, and welcome to Right Riches Talks. I am here with two of my favorite people on the planet, Steve and Chatissa Bowman, and I am Lale Hancock, and we're here today to talk about one of our favorite topics, right, ladies and gentlemen? So we're talking about multiple streams of possibilities. And so continuing that conversation today is, what about finding multiple streams of income within your existing business or project or product? So what do you guys think? How do we do that?
One of the things that we find most people do is that they'll look at a particular product or a project or a business they've got, and they just want to do more of the same thing, rather than looking at, so what are the different ways that we can look at this from different points of view, and from each one of those different points of view about an already existing product or a project or a service, from those different points of view about it, each one of those will have an income stream or a revenue stream attached to it.
First, you must shift your point of view to totally see that it is truly possible to have multiple stream of possibility with every project. Because most people tend to think this is the way things are. I just do one thing and this is how I do it, without asking the question, what else is possible? Without asking, is there anything else I can add to this project to create different possibilities? So first, if you want to create multiple stream of possibilities, you have to be willing to know that it is truly possible to create multiple stream of possibility with everything, with every project, with every jobs, with every assignment, anything that you want to do. Always have at least 10 to 20 multiple stream of possibilities attached.
What we find interesting is people who work in different sectors of business, or they are dealing with a particular product, look to see how others do it and often think that's the only way to do it, and don't even question whether or not there are multiple streams of possibilities associated with that product or the service. So they buy into the points of view that everyone else has, and they don't even think to question what those points of view are. I mean, one of the most amazing things that I'm seeing happening is now, do you know how people make money on YouTube? They run courses on how to make money on YouTube. So it's always looking at that same very, very small area, and how can we make more money from this same small area? We've found, and we encourage everyone to look at it this way, is that, look, there are many, many other different streams of possibilities attached with that. And every time you change your point of view about how you think something should be, that releases another stream of possibility. And the key in all of this is to look at it from these many different points of view.
You know what I love about this is that most of us, like you said, are so busy trying to do it just like everybody else, that it's not until these moments where we ask the questions that we actually allow us to see all the different ways our businesses desire to even be out there than what we've projected them to be. And so, you know, when both of you mentioned multiple streams of possibilities, like, let's give some examples. Because I'm like, I know, you guys just finished another masterclass, right, in Sweden. Mm-hmm. And, look at even that. You are facilitating a class. So what are the different or multiple streams of possibilities from this one event that you guys were actually sharing with the world?
Well, we had, we could just do one event and expect people to come and be with us in the class. But we did open up to the world. We used the Zoom to do that. And for the intro session, we had, 50 Hungarian? So many different nationality came in online to be with us. And that opened up different stream of possibility for people to actually experience what we were talking about without even knowing about us already. So that was just one way of looking at possibilities.
That was one example of taking what would otherwise just be a live event and then using the technology to stream it out to others. And we had over 100 people that actually came to it, of which there were about 20 live in the room. Now, the interesting thing from that is that from every stream of possibility, there comes other streams of possibilities. From one of these people who was online is actually coming to another one that we're doing in Dubai, because they thought, well, the streaming one was fine, but I want to be part of this. You just never know. But then if we look at that as an example and then extrapolate from that, so what if we were able to look at this class from, it was a 2-day class, for example, what if we made it into a 2-hour intensive? So, well, what we could do, for example, is take it and then cut out the most important parts and develop it up into a very intensive program with a workbook. There's another project. There's another multiple stream of possibility. Now, if we're going to do that, what are the different ways that we can get that information out there? Well, we can provide it as an online product, or we can develop it up so other people can promote it. We can look at it in terms of taking the material out of those 2 days and putting them into themes. So there was one theme, for example, that was all about creating revenue by making this reality work for you. There's a product just there in itself. So it's looking at this from these multiple points of view. The other thing that we're looking at also is, well, what if this wasn't a workshop? How would we look at developing this so that it actually created something over and above it being a workshop? What if it was an experience? So we're looking at how we can actually develop this 2-day workshop into something different as well as the workshop. But how can we create this as an experience for people, not just to sit down and ask questions and participate sort of workshop?
And the other thing is, like, there's so much content that also gets created with anything that most people are doing out there. So I'm just like, when I think of multiple streams of possibilities with anything, not just this particular class, think about from that content, how can you create blogs? How can you create articles? How can you do video, blogs, vlogs, or, there's these other things that can all come out of this one event that you did. And the event touched so many people too. Like you said, being able to also add multiple languages and multiple other possibilities. And it just continues to go on if you're willing to ask the questions.
And so we attract a lot of people who's in business as well, who feels like their business are not doing well, who feel stuck, who actually want to get us to help them unlocking different possibilities in their business. So from that space, we know that there are multiple possibilities from the business people who know that we can help them with strategic planning. We can facilitate them to look at a different way that they can rebuild and reorganize their business. So those are different possibilities that can come out of that. Each facilitator, each person who do their workshop like this, if people know what they are really, really good at, you can create your workshop into whatever it is that you will attract people who are interested in that field. For example, in your field, Lale, there's so many different things that you are interested in. So, like leadership, like business, team building.
Human resources without the human part.
Yeah, that's so true. Culture transformations too. We talk a lot about that too.
If you look at things like culture transformations, immediately I go into, wow, that's fantastic for mergers and acquisitions. So any organizations that are looking to merge, to acquire, to set up partnerships, to do any sort of things where it's shared services arrangements, the big thing that creates great angst is the cultural transformation that occurs after the event. Now, there's a whole other market in there. That's just from that one topic. So in all of this, the key thing is that if you absolutely believe and know that there are multiple streams of possibilities out there, then you'll start looking for them rather than assuming you have to find the one right one that will solve all your problems.
Well, one good example, though, Lale, you just came back from the conference in Lisbon, right? Yeah. And talking about multiple stream of possibilities they created there.
So I just attended Web Summit, which is interesting. It's only been around for a few years, and it started about 400 people attending. And this year they had 60,000 people. And it was geared towards technology, but it really was geared for what's today going on in technology and really the future, which is the part that got me even more excited. And the diversity of the type of people that were keynote speakers, from, you know, your Facebooks of the world to where they're going and some of future products that they're developing, you know, Amazon and a few others. But it also brought in people from the entertainment business of how artists are now incorporating YouTube and literally utilizing technologies, software and hardware from their computers, instead of going into, you know, I have to be in this big studio to be able to record my music so that people can hear it and listen to it and download it and all these other things. It really it looked at life, our life really, and touched a little topic that affected a little bit of everyone. They had a whole sector around startups and the products that they're putting out in the world. They brought in investors who could contribute to the startups. They brought in people around social media experts and others who can assist. They talked a lot about artificial intelligence in terms of where that's going, where it is today and where it's going in the future. And once again, what I loved about it was that it wasn't just what are we doing today, but it really looked at what can we create that's going to work for today and what people need today, but also looking at the future of where we need to be ahead of what's actually required. You know, they talked about the next generation of Uber actually being planes that fly by and how helicopters were noisy and didn't work. So they're actually inventing a plane that will allow commuters to travel, you know, instead of an hour and a half in a car, you know, 6 minutes from like the top of the roof of one building into another. But it really was their curiosity of how can we bring in information and speakers that can provide information to multiple types of our audience base and what they require.
Mm-hmm. And it's fascinating that they grew in the last 4 years, correct, from 400 to 60,000. So what question can we be and do and have, create and generate that will allow all of us to be able to expand and grow exponentially like that with total ease? Obviously, they're willing to receive the expansion of that. And it's truly possible when you look at that, from going from 400 to 60,000. For most of us, when we said, oh my God, that's going to be so much work, so much organization, so much everything that is, that when we say too much, that's probably what limit our capacity to create and generate that in our life. Obviously, when people doing something like that, they don't actually have the point of view, it's too much, it's going to be too difficult. They just probably keep on saying, how can we grow and keep on growing? What can we put in place as a system to support all of that to happen? So if we would like to have a multiple stream of possibilities, we will have to start shifting the question that we ask, the space that we are choosing to be, and the willingness to receive whatever it looks like. It's not an easy job to be able to run a conference of 60,000 people and invite multiple stream of different group of people to come along. Can you imagine the coordination of that? Everything that we even think that we wouldn't even know where we could start thinking. We wouldn't even know what to do. We need to be willing to destroy and create all of that. And we have to say, what would it take for us to actually be and create all of that is total ease?
Yeah, and Steve talked about this earlier when we opened the show, was like, we actually need to change the way we think and the points of views that we've already put in place to be able to open it up, because the businesses can have multiple streams of possibilities. And like you said, with each particular thing, it can have 10 or 20 or 30 or 40 other possibilities. What they did with Web Summit, and it's one CEO currently who, there's been lots of talks of different people wanting to acquire this, really was his vision of always saying what else is possible, what else is available, and his willingness to continue to add the people that would actually have the capacities and the abilities to help him reach it. And what I love what you said, Chatissa, is it starts with us getting out of our head and actually asking questions. And it's funny, you ask these questions and then don't try to figure it out, but then you might get a phone call from someone who, you know, starts talking to you, and they're exactly the person who needs to connect you to the next place you've got to go. Or you get the idea to call your mom. You never know why you need to call mom, but you do. And next thing you know, mom knows somebody. So it really is this curiosity, leaving all the doors open and being willing to also receive the information and allow people to assist you. Because I think that's one of the biggest mistakes businesses make, is they think they have to figure it all out themselves and create it themselves. But when they open the doors to allow others to contribute, it's amazing what happens
I think
there.
the key thing is to never shut down and say, oh my God, that's going to be too much work. I don't know how to do it. It's going to be too hard. I can't, I don't know how, any of those, we really need to let them go if we want to grow big and play big.
And there's some great tools that you can use that actually help with that one. So for example, anywhere where you have this feeling of I can't, turn it into a question. Well, if I did know how to do this, where would I start? Mm-hmm. Or I don't know how to do this. Well, if I did know who could tell me something, where would I start with that? So it takes you from I can't into, well, here are some of these small steps that I can do to actually change what it is that I'm thinking about about this project. And a couple of other great tools that people might be interested in. One of the questions we find in particular with organizations or with people that run a business of some sort or want to run a business is when you look at one of your projects or these services you've got and you sit down with a nice glass of red wine and you just look at the question, if I couldn't do it this way, how might I do it? If I couldn't do it this way, no ifs, no buts, don't just, if I couldn't, then what might this look like? And it's probably one of the most innovative questions that you can ask, because what it does is it destroys and uncreates anything where you think this is the only way you can do it. And then if I couldn't do it this way, what might it look like? Will give you a very different perspective of essentially breaking the rules. It's an amazing tool that if you do choose to use it, is going to unlock some of those streams of possibilities that are out there knocking at your door, waiting for you to get over your points of view.
And we can continue this conversation in the next episode. So
let's do that.
Let's do that. So lovely talking to you, Lale.
We'll speak to you in a few weeks. Bye.
Sounds good. Bye.